Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Thursday, June 16th, 2022. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below. Now, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at the Premium Picks tab at Pickdawgz.com. I'm running a daily $15 MLB best bet, so check it out at Pick Dawgz Premium. Alrighty, here we go. Here are the games for Thursday, June 16th. First up, we see the Oakland Athletics taking on the Boston Red Sox. Paul Blackburn and Rich Hill are your projected starters here. Now, originally, we were supposed to see Rich Hill start for Wednesday's game. He was scratched, given an extra day of rest, so now he should be pitching in this game on Thursday. He pitched really well against this Oakland A's lineup last time he faced them back on June the 5th. 6 innings, only 1 earned run with 5 strikeouts, exactly what you would want to see from Rich Hill. And the Red Sox bats have been able to back him up and the rest of the starters recently as well. They're now a few games over 500 on the season after they were about 10 games under 500 at one point. Paul Blackburn did pitch well in his last outing, but he struggled quite a bit against these Red Sox back on that June 4th start. 4 innings, 7 hits, 4 earned runs allowed. He's given up 8 earned runs in his last 3 outings combined. Home runs have been starting a little bit of an issue for him. Also, the strikeout numbers are way down for him recently as well. And I just can't back him in this spot, even though he and Montas are the most competitive pitchers that the A's have in that rotation. I just don't think it's good enough against a red-hot Red Sox lineup. And the Oakland A's bullpen, not good enough for me to back either. So give me the Boston Red Sox here on the money line. Next up, we see the Chicago Cubs taking on the San Diego Padres. Joe Musgrove and Matt Swarmer on the mound for this contest. Now, I do think Matt Swarmer has some potential in the major leagues, but right now he's not a viable starter, and I can't back him in this spot going up against one of the best, if not the strongest starter right now in the National League in Joe Musgrove. Musgrove's 7-0 with a 1.5 ERA, 72 strikeouts in 72 innings, only 4 home runs allowed all season long, and he hasn't given up a homer in his last 4 starts. He is pitching lights-out baseball. The Cubs don't hit righties nearly as well as they do hit lefties. And Matt Swarmer coming off a start where he gave up 6 home runs. There were 6 solo shots by the Yankees in Yankee Stadium. He's got good strikeout stuff, but he's given up at least 1 homer in each of his first 3 starts. And I just can't trust him in this spot, especially going up against Musgrove. Give me the Padres here on the money line. Next up, we see the Baltimore Orioles taking on the Toronto Blue Jays. Tyler Wells and Kevin Gausman are your starters for this one. Now, I have to admit, I haven't really been impressed with Kevin Gausman in his last 3 outings. He's starting to get hit harder and harder. The walks are starting to be a little bit of an issue, especially in his last outing, and his strikeout numbers are going down just a tad. He's given up at least 6 base hits in 4 of his last 5 outings, and he hasn't really pitched too deep into any of those games. 6 innings a couple of times against the Tigers and Cardinals, but other than those starts, he's been pitching fewer than 6 innings. He's given up some earned runs recently, 3 earned against the Twins, 5 total in that ball game, and then 3 earned against the White Sox. And I do think the Orioles, a team that has played really well as the underdog role, and a team that hits right-handed pitching pretty well this season also, I think they're going to be able to get to Gausman here. And I do think the Orioles offense is going to put up a fight in this game overall. But on the other side, Tyler Wells, not a guy that I'm going to back in this spot. He's given up 3 earned runs last start against the Royals. And although he's been decent for the Orioles this season, I don't like the fact that he only has 33 strikeouts in 53 2/3 innings. He's giving up a lot of contact, and I do think that's going to come back to bite him at some point. I don't think he's going to be able to hold on to that sub-4 ERA for the rest of the season. We know what this Blue Jays offense can do when it's firing on all cylinders. Even in the game when they lost earlier this series, 6-5, still put up 5 runs of offense, and I think both teams are going to have a good shot at hitting 5 runs here. So I'm going to take the over in this Blue Jays-Orioles game. I think the total set a little bit too low, just because on the surface, both of these pitchers look really tough. But I think both teams get to them. I'm going to take the over here in the Orioles-Blue Jays. Next up, we see the Philadelphia Phillies taking on the Washington Nationals. Zach Wheeler and Patrick Corbin are your projected starters, but we don't have an official lineup for this game quite yet. So we could see a pitching change. That's why we put pitchers and odds subject to change. From the time you watch this video till right about first pitch, there could be some information change for each game. So make sure you're always getting the most up-to-date information on the sites that you look to for research. But Zach Wheeler is the much better starter in this particular matchup. We know that. The Phillies are also very, very strong offensively against left-handed pitching. Patrick Corbin, although he's pitching a little bit better as of late, he's still not somebody I can back in this spot. Phillies are 4th in baseball in team OPS and isolated power against left-handed pitching. Patrick Corbin's ERA is still above 6.5 right now. He pitched good enough to get the Nationals a nice underdog win, but he still gave up 4 earned runs and 2 home runs in his last start against the Milwaukee Brewers. And that's a Brewers lineup that doesn't really hit lefties very well. So I do think Corbin is in trouble here, and I really like what I've seen from Zach Wheeler as of late. This Phillies team just seems to be playing kind of different baseball. At the beginning of the season, a very talented team on paper was finding ways to lose. And although that bullpen isn't always the sharpest, like we saw in that Marlins series where they gave up a few runs late in Game 2, I still think it's good enough with Wheeler that can go 7-8 innings at any time. I think the Phillies win this game going away. I'm going to take the Philadelphia Phillies and lay the run line. Next up, we see the New York Yankees taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. And we're going to see Luis Severino for the Yankees, but we don't have an official starter listed for the Rays. Sometimes that means Ryan Yarbrough or some of the openers might get the start for this one for Tampa Bay. But no matter who it is on the mound, I am going to lean towards the Yankees on the run line right here. Luis Severino pitching really well for the Yanks in his comeback season. Got to be one of the people that are up for comeback player of the year, as he's 4-1 with a 2.8 ERA, 71 strikeouts in 61 innings. He's limiting walks. He's limiting home runs. He is doing a great job for one of the best, if not the best, rotations in baseball right now. And it's rare, even when you do have the best record of all in the league, what the Yankees do, it's tough to be able to have the best lineup, best bullpen, and best rotation in the league. The Yankees could honestly have all three, and that's why they're playing so well at home also. 27-7 at the time of me recording this at Yankee Stadium. Unbelievable home record. The Rays have struggled a little bit on the road, much stronger at Tropicana Field. I'm going to take the Yankees here. I think Severino pitches well enough, and the Yankees bats back him up enough to get a run line cover. Next up, we see the Cleveland Guardians taking on the Colorado Rockies. We're going to see Tristan McKenzie and Chad Cole on the mound for this contest. Now, I know we've seen 2 starting pitchers with sub-4 ERAs here, but I actually like the over in this game. You look at Tristan McKenzie, he's definitely having the best season or best start to the season in his major league career thus far, taking that next step in his developmental process. But this is not a good spot for him, as this is going to be his first career start at Coors Field, and where we've seen McKenzie struggle the most is the long ball. He's given up at least 2 home runs in 4 of his last 5 starts. He's given up 7 total home runs in his last 3 outings. And let's look at those teams that he's faced in those last 3 outings. The Oakland A's, the Detroit Tigers, and the Baltimore Orioles. Those are not necessarily slugfest kind of teams that McKenzie's faced. In fact, the Tigers are dead last in isolated power against righties. The Oakland A's are 28th in isolated power against righties. The Orioles a little bit better at 15th, but still, now you're on the road against the Colorado Rockies, who do hit really well at home. Obviously not as good a numbers on the road, but they are very formidable at home. I think they're going to be able to get to McKenzie here, but on the other side, can't really trust Colorado as Chad Cole is struggling, regressing from the start of the season. He faced a Padres lineup that doesn't hit righties very well, but gave up 8 hits, 5 earned runs, a home run, 5 walks, and that was on the road. That wasn't even at Coors Field, where now it's going to be a lot more hitter-friendly. The Rockies have one of the worst, if not the worst, bullpens in baseball, so even when Cole makes his way out of the ballgame, I think the Guardians are going to continue to hit. Guardians do hit right-handed pitching really well this year. Give me the over in the Guardians-Rockies. Next up, we see the Milwaukee Brewers taking on the New York Mets. Aaron Ashby and Tyler McGill are your starters here. Now, I know these days it's not very popular to go against the Mets, but I got to take the plus money here with the Milwaukee Brewers. Aaron Ashby being a left-handed starter. The Mets have struggled against lefties this year, outside the top 15 in team OPS against left-handed pitching, outside the top 20 in isolated power, as they're 24th in baseball in isolated power against lefties. Tyler McGill, he's only had 1 start since he was on the injured list. He wasn't the sharpest. 3 1/3 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, a home run against the Angels of all teams, a team that's really struggling offensively. And where we saw McGill last, before he went on the injured list, he gave up 8 earned runs and 2 homers to the Nationals in an 8-3 blowout loss for the Mets. McGill was super sharp at the beginning of the season. I think he was the starter in that combined no-hitter that the Mets had as well against the Phillies. But ever since that no-hitter, he hasn't been nearly as sharp. His ERA is now above 4.5 right now on the season. And the Brewers do hit right-handed pitching a lot better than they do hit lefties. Very powerful lineup against righties as well. And for a guy that has home run issues, I do worry about McGill in this spot. I think the value's with the underdog here. I'm going to take the Milwaukee Brewers on the money line. In our next game, we see the Texas Rangers taking on the Detroit Tigers. Martin Perez and Beau Brieske are your projected starters. Now, Martin Perez was off to an amazing start to the year. I figured his ERA was not going to stay below 2 for most of the season, and he did have his first bad start of the season last time. Now, he faced the Chicago White Sox, a team that crushes lefties. They're number 1 in baseball against lefties in team OPS. He gave up 12 hits, 6 earned runs. It was not an easy start to watch for Perez, but I do think he bounces back here against a pretty weak Tigers lineup. Tigers have struggled against righties and lefties all season long, and Beau Brieske, not a guy that I'm going to be backing too often this season. I will give him credit. He has looked pretty good as of late, especially last outing, 5 2/3 against the Blue Jays with no earned runs, but he doesn't strike out enough batters. He walks too many batters, gives up way too many home runs. I think the Texas Rangers offense does enough here on the road to get the win. So give me the Texas Rangers on the money line. Next up, our final game of the night, we see the Los Angeles Angels taking on the Seattle Mariners. Now, this is probably my least favorite game on the board in terms of betting. Just don't see a lot of value in this game, and it's tough for me to pick a side, but I'm going to lean towards the Seattle Mariners on the money line. I do think they're the slightly better option, at least more valuable. You know, George Kirby limits walks. I really like that a part of his game. He strikes out batters as well. The only issue he has is giving up the home run ball, which is a big issue, but he's not facing an Angels lineup that's been very good lately. You know, sure, the top of the lineup's got extremely talented guys like Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani, but the bottom of the order is one of the worst in baseball, in my opinion, and the top of the order is also struggling quite a bit during this recent losing streak and slump overall. The Angels' bullpen's not very good either right now, and although Shohei Ohtani may be able to get you 4, 5, 6 strong innings on the mound, I don't really trust this Angels bullpen at Seattle here. I'm going to take a lean with the Mariners here, but like I said, not rushing to the window for this one. And that's it. Those are the games for Thursday, June 16th. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comment section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at the Premium Picks tab at Pickdawgz.com. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.